moment when you regret ever opening your mouth? When you're looking around for the rewind button or a trap door to fall through? This is a story about that moment. And this moment takes place in a crêperie in Paris. A couple years ago, I spent a year studying abroad in France, and there was this crêperie that I found myself at just about every 3 days. Why so often? Well, I'd like to say that it was just because the crepes were delicious, which they were. But the real story is there was a boy. Isn't there always? This crêperie guy was très beau and very sweet. I could always count on a free coffee or a couple of extra euro back with my change. But at the same time, after all these months, the only thing we'd really done was stare shyly at each other and smile across the restaurant. And for my friends, this wasn't enough. They decided it was time to take this relationship, if you could call it that, to the next level. Most importantly, they wanted me to stop calling him the crêperie guy and actually find out his name. Well, even to me, this seemed pretty reasonable, so the next time I was at the crêperie, I decided to go for it. I finished my meal, I went up, we exchanged, the basic pleasantries, how's your night, how's the food, and when there was a lull in the conversation, I went for it. C'est quoi ton nom? I asked, what's your name, with my best French accent. And he told me. But this was important, I wanted to get it right, so I asked him if he could repeat it, and he did. But here's the thing about this crêperie. I found it by Googling best crêperies in Paris, very scientific, and it turns out other people can do that too. Place had a line around the block every night, kind of place where they gotta pull the table out so you can get into your seat. Point is, it was packed, it was crowded, it was loud, it was chaotic. And I didn't get his name. But I had a choice. I could stand there and keep asking him to repeat it, but that didn't seem very cool or charming, so I'd made a snap decision, the kind of snap decision that always gets you into trouble. I said, oh, okay, and nodded enthusiastically like I knew it, and figured I'll sort it out later. So I go home, I tell my roommate I asked for his name, she's excited, what is it? I don't know yet, but I will. So for a few days, I'm scouring the web, French baby name websites, trying to figure out what matches the sounds I have in my head. I asked my friends, I asked my old French teacher, and eventually, I figured it out. Dario, which isn't a hugely common French name. It's not Jacques or Pierre, but it's reasonably common, and it seemed to fit him, nice and dashing. So, armed with this new knowledge, I went back to the crêperie a few days later. This time after my meal, I went up, and I was excited to talk to him, to show off, show how cool and charming and what a wonderful American I was. So I go up, we exchange pleasantries, and this time when the conversation lulls, I jump in. It's Dario, right? I ask. Can't wait to see his reaction. But he looks at me. Quoi? What? Well, I wasn't worried. Maybe I'd pronounced it badly. I knew it. I'm 100% sure. Somehow, I was so sure that this was his name. I'd been telling people for days. Dario, I say, really trying to get the accent just right. Same result. Quoi? Well, now I'm concerned. Now my face is going red. Now I'm looking for that trap door. I'm regretting ever walking through that crêperie door. But there's no other option. So one more time. Dario, your name, right? He laughs, and I'm trying to disappear. No, Giorgio, like Giorgio Armani, he says. Giorgio, right. And for the record, that makes a lot more sense with the sounds that I heard than what I had come up with. So, I'm trying to get away as quickly as possible. Sorry, I'll just slink out the door. But he stops me, and this is how you know he's a keeper. No, he says, it's my fault. I pronounced it badly. Well, let's review here. One of us is a native French speaker, works regularly in this crowded crêperie, and is the possessor of the name. And one of us is not. But no, it's definitely the first guy's fault. But it was very sweet of him to throw me the rope, and he sent me back to my table with a coffee to boot. Now, unfortunately, that's where our whirlwind romance ends, but on my last night in Paris, he paid for my dinner and he told me I should come back soon, and I planned to. And this time, I'm going to find out his last name.